Good morning and a happy new year, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Market Check. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets and our first market check of the calendar year. Welcome to 2025, guys. Welcome to Market Check. I hope that you've had a great last few days. Really just a great holiday season over the last 2 or 3 weeks. As we always say, spending time with friends and family, even in the midst of a 24/7 market, while doing that can be hard at times, especially when the market is active, is always welcomed and nice. But I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I am joined by Tucker and, of course, unbothered Chef Jackus. Welcome, guys. Hope you had a great holiday season as well. I look across the board. We've got some interesting narratives to discuss as we head into the new year. Of course, what a great way to do it by starting it off with some green candles. But as you guys love to joke, the audience, that is, I'm speaking directly to the camera now here. You guys love to say you won't hit the like button unless it is a green day in the markets. Well, I'm looking at my TradingView watch list right now, and the markets are definitely green today. So if you guys want to see some New Year's alpha, we're going to do our best to cook that up, but you guys need to do your part as well and slam that like button for us. I'd love to set a precedent for what 2025 can be by hitting the like button with an absolute fervor, breaking records even potentially. Maybe I'm being a little too optimistic, but I want to see you guys really show out with the like button today, especially because we have had the holidays kind of chop our schedule a little bit intermittently. And so we are very happy, though, to be cooking for you all today. But let's get into the markets, guys. As we love to say, Bitcoin up 2%, ETH up 3%. Really, Sol seems to be the one leading, at least thus far this week. I will say, I think other coins that have not really moved today look very good. Something like a BNB. These are all assets that when they go higher, encourage a tremendous wealth effect throughout the crypto markets, right? Seeing some bid on meme coins, even some Solana meme coins, right, that have been dead for a lot of, as somebody on X so appropriately coined, Deadcember, right? We are seeing some movement from some Solana memes, like I said. Popcat, for example, I haven't looked at with. Bonk is kind of moving a little bit. We're seeing that yearly open bid that shouldn't be surprising, right? People who are sitting on capital or maybe even gains. Did they take profit? Are funds looking to allocate some of their new capital into new assets? Q1 has a very powerful dynamic as far as flows go. Even equities also green thus far today. That's something that we'll continue to track, though. I have to think that NVIDIA is probably going to play a very important role here over the next few months, as will Tesla, which is a little red today, but we'll discuss that as well. The dollar is something I'm sure we'll talk about here too, given the continued strength that it has shown throughout this uptrend, right? But I do believe that we are coming into a level that could serve as a pretty critical inflection point. And of course, guys, we'll talk about things like Microstrategy, probably Coinbase stock as well. But welcome, guys. I hope you had a great holiday, like I said. What are you guys seeing in the markets? Maybe you can tell me your favorite New Year's Eve tradition, if you even have one. I know we did that for Christmas. I'm personally not as big on celebrating New Year's Eve as Christmas, for example. Like I fell asleep right at midnight. Like I stayed up so that I could say I was awake.
You made it though.
I did, barely.
Okay.
I mean, I fell asleep a few times before that, but yeah, I made it just enough to be awake for the turn of 2025.
Okay. That's good. That's all that matters. Yeah, that's my tradition as well. It's just make it to midnight, right? But no, nothing crazy like Christmas traditions, like you said. Just hung out with some buddies. My wife actually had to work, unfortunately, but hung out with some buddies and smoked some good cigars, and just hung out, and that's all we needed. Jackus, what about you? What'd you do?
Well, I enjoyed my time with friends and family pretty much. Had few beers, you know me. I couldn't have too much because of my illness, unfortunately. but it was fun. We had a very winter-like weather, like all of those trees, right? Those little icings on them and everything. So very, very nice. Yeah, nice fireworks too. They told us, hey, you can't do those anymore. And everyone was like, fuck you.
Oh, no more fireworks for you guys?
No, they were like, oh, don't do it. It hurts to animals.
We didn't really have any here, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any go off at midnight. But
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. I don't think I did either.
No, I was kind of expecting to also, but I did not.
I think when I lived in the city, the ballpark around where I lived would just have the most extravagant fireworks shows ever. But it would always scare the crap out of my cat.
Oh, you mean like,
Kind
are
of
you
like a
talking
bomb was
New
going
Year's, or are
on.
you talking like during games?
Well, July 4th and New Year's. Just they're great at
Uh,
fireworks because I think a lot of people just naturally go to ballpark, at least here, for fireworks shows. But for me, like living pretty close to it, it was as if I was in a bomb shelter for about 10 or 15 minutes.
mhm. No, I remember you did live super close to that. So Tommy, is MSTR cooked here or what? Because I mean, it's a nice little gap fill we got, but I mean, it doesn't look great. I know you were looking at it kind of compared to SNCI, but
Yeah, I think it looks pretty similar to SMCI. And if it is going to play out exactly the same, obviously nothing ever does, but theoretically this should be where MSTR is probably looking for a bounce. You would think, and start to form that complacency shoulder that SMCI did. After it traded or after it kind of broke that parabolic uptrend, but not really. Right. We don't know if these are going to play out exactly the same, but I feel pretty good just given our analysis that we've discussed on the value proposition of something like MSTR versus Bitcoin. It makes more sense to at least hold Bitcoin over MSTR going forward, right? Because they're only going to issue more and more shares of MSTR. That creates dilution. You need more buying pressure in order for the stock to go higher. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is the asset that they're diluting their stock to buy. So fixed supply, it's kind of a no-brainer to me in that regard that we're going to continue to see Bitcoin outperform MSTR. I don't know exactly what price action MSTR is going to pull from here, right? Maybe it bounces into a complacency shoulder. Maybe it just keeps deflating. But I don't know. I mean, I have to imagine as long as we're seeing this bleed on the stock to this degree, it's going to be difficult for Bitcoin to see meaningful performance to the upside again.
yeah, I mean, I think you were right about. Didn't you say this pretty much at the top that Bitcoin was going to outperform MSTR for the rest of the year? Something.
I didn't know it was quite going to be at the top, but
did you say
yeah,
rest of year, rest of cycle?
rest of the cycle.
Rest of cycle. Wow. So
You don't think that MSTR picks up anymore?
Right now I'm pretty skeptical of that.
Well, right now too, but I tend to think that MSTR will still have maybe like one last serious leg higher at least. Because if we think that BTC is going higher too, then it's just harder to not see MicroStrategy follow. But it's definitely at a level it must hold. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then what does that tell about BTC, right? Because if I look at BTC alone, I think it looks pretty fine. But MSTR breaking lower would, well, it would be actually interesting to see how it would behave.
I agree. This is something I was kind of posing to Tucker and Max a few days ago is MSTR is the way it's trading right now, right? And I know it's not as clean and cut as this, but you look at the percentage change from top to bottom of the move. MSTR, I think, traded 45 to 50% down from the highs. Bitcoin traded about 15 to 16% down from the highs, which means functionally MSTR could be trading like a 3x Bitcoin long right now. So what does that mean for the MSTR stock if, Bitcoin, for example, continued to slide? And like you said, Jackus, I think Bitcoin looks fine here, but I do think that beta correlation is kind of something that I'm paying attention to here. And if that is the case, that could be worth watching. I also think the thing worth watching for Bitcoin is Bitcoin dominance, right? I think we're all kind of in the camp that Bitcoin dominance is expected to fall here. It looks like a complacency shoulder forming on a midterm time frame, even high time frame, you could argue. I guess it just kind of depends on what you determine as high time frame. I think that's a pretty significant looking complacency shoulder, probably headed down to like 50% again. And I made this joke on the morning call, but being bullish or rather bearish on Bitcoin dominance is the politically correct way of being bullish on ETH Bitcoin, for example. So I do expect this to fall. And if that's the case, what does that mean for Bitcoin, right? I know it means altcoins are expected to outperform, but does it just mean that Bitcoin goes up just to a much less kind of dramatic and liquidity siphoning degree that it has over the last few months?
Yeah, that's the only issue I have with dominance, right? Is that if it's really time for it to fall off a cliff, it means you're probably not getting your wild Bitcoin targets, right? But you should still have altcoins go pretty crazy.
I don't agree with this. I think
You don't
that
think so?
yeah, because
Let's
if you
see.
study 2017, which was an adoption cycle, then you can easily see that alts rallied, and then it was Bitcoin season again for an entire year, and then it was altcoin season again.
That did happen.
There we go. Okay, so you're saying 2017. Oh, you're saying this when it kind of curled back up and Bitcoin still pulled. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like
Pretty much,
if you
yeah.
look at it,
I guess,
Yeah.
yeah, we just didn't have that last cycle, right? It was like once this thing topped, I guess you had Bitcoin kind of, well, let's see here. Once it was really
Oh.
done, right? It fell off a cliff. Bitcoin was already at 60K, 65K, right? That was your distribution and your alt season,
Yeah.
right?
That's true. Like last cycle was very specific in lots of terms, and it was a printing cycle. Lots of assets respective to their market cap went pretty much the same kind of. They kind of did the same moves if you look at the chart, right? Like from the visual side, and lots of alts basically just, as you said, just like went up, and that was it. I think this cycle will be a lot different. This cycle isn't necessarily a printing cycle. This will be more like an adoption cycle where you get, again, we are getting a regulatory clarity, starting with Trump in a few weeks. So I think that wasn't the case in the prior one. The prior one was really that the central bankers just flooded the entire world with fiat currency, and people just gambled on everything.
Let's see. I mean, do you think we have like a 2017 style Bitcoin dominance run where you just get like a drop and then consolidate back up, drop, do it again, drop like that, rather than
Don't see
just
why not.
like fall off a cliff and that's it type of. Because every time it did that, right? Every time it kind of stopped and consolidated, that's when you had like a decent correction. 40% right there while it went back up.
Yeah. It's crazy though that those are 40%. Like, should
I
that
know.
like that happened in since March, from March till August? That was a 40% drop, and people lost their mind basically.
Mhm.
And in 2017, that was happening within weeks, multiple times.
that level, I think we need to watch even this 40% level too. I think because whenever you get down here on dominance, like that's your top. That's your top.
I remember it was always
it's
such a
local top.
40% being the like a signal was so accurate in the last bull market. And people kind of just like it that signal persisted for a long time. Every time we traded down in there, it would bounce, and you could always trade. The Bitcoin dominance trade was back there. At least you knew that there was enough froth in altcoins that we would probably start to dump shortly after. It you know, really wasn't until and the chart is self-explanatory that Bitcoin started to lead the market again that we bottomed, which isn't surprising.
Yeah.
As I've said, I'm a little skeptical still about the path that we take to 40%, but I do think that 50% is much more doable, and it's asking a lot less from this market, and obviously from kind of the albatross that you know, we love and we hate, which is Ethereum. But I think Ethereum, you know, it looks fine here, especially if you reclaim 3,600, 3,700, like we were kind of discussing last week.
Well, my take here is that if Bitcoin dominance is going to 50%, right, that has to mean ETH-BTC going up, because Bitcoin dominance is more or less just inverted ETH-BTC. Now, Bitcoin dominance going to 50% then has to mean that ETH-BTC goes likely to like 0.05 or 0.055, and that, in my opinion, is very close to breaking the structure. And if that's the case, then that means that ETH-BTC is going way higher, which means that Bitcoin dominance has to go way lower. You know,
well, that's how I view it as well.
I think
Jackus, I don't know if you heard the joke I made, but being bearish on Bitcoin dominance is just the politically correct way of being bullish on ETH Bitcoin.
BTC, I like it. I haven't heard it. Yeah. Now explain to me how to be politely bullish on XRP.
There's no good way, Jackus. There's no good way. Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of your window we've talked about before, right? Like, I already had these marked out. It's basically just Q1. You know, this is when you should get a pretty big pop in ETH-BTC, right? But what you should notice too is that you don't actually get an ETH-BTC peak until after Q1, which is kind of early to mid Q2. This one happened in June. This one happened in May. So you get a big move in Q1, right? This happened in March right here. This happened in late January. But you don't actually get this blow off top in ETH-BTC until mid Q2. So something to think about. Something to think about. But we should start an uptrend, essentially, is what this is saying. Right.
I think as well, you know, important pieces to this puzzle, even though they're not ETH, right? We always kind of benchmark ETH to them, are things like SOL and BNB. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing, and we've said this before, that SOL is potentially leading the market off of a low as far as outperformance goes. I look at SOL, looks very strong. I would like to see SOL, you know, a little bit higher, obviously, but BNB I think looks especially good as well. Just kind of doing this slow grind near all-time highs. That's the type of structure you want to see before it loads, just like a mega candle to the upside.
Imagine, as you said, imagine if Trump pardons CZ and he can go back to Binance. That's all it needs to go absolutely mental.
Well, if SPF is getting potentially pardoned, I don't know if you guys have paid attention to the poly market odds on it. I haven't checked them since like last week, but they shot up to like 13%, 15% even at one point. if SBF is potentially getting pardoned, for one, I don't think that that's a good thing. But two, you have to imagine that CZ could be in line for some favorable decisions as well.
He's at 3%, Tommy. He's at 3%
So
right now.
they pump and dumped the
SBF.
poly market odds. That could be worth a punt, honestly, at 3%.
Ross Ulbricht is at 2%.
He's not going to get pardoned before Trump takes office.
Fauci's at 10%. Wow. You said you'd like to see Sol USD higher, or Sol ETH, or Sol Bitcoin?
Sol USD. I mean, I think that pivot at like 215. If you reclaim above that level, you're going to start to see these Sol meme coins that are just totally floored, I think, resurrect back to life.
Yeah. I mean, this looks pretty good. I don't hate this chart, Yeah, I think that looks pretty good.
This is interesting. US recession before May 2025, and currently only 7% chance.
Oh, Jack, is he gonna hedge?
No, I mean that it's good for the bull market that there is only 7%, not 77% chance for the recession. That it's not something like 30 or 50%.
I mean, I don't know if you guys have been following this, but there's been some controversy with poly market here over the last few weeks, kind of regarding the oracle that's been making decisions for the protocol. It's UMA, and there are some UMA whales that, I mean, we know poly market bets, right? Like, how do you ultimately resolve them? Well, there's a very clear verbiage typically, and it just, how do you define, for example, a recession, right? I'm sure there's some criteria in the on the page describing the bet that kind of like specify what they're looking for. But yeah, there's been some controversy on a few bets where the language got changed, or rather the oracle wouldn't resolve the bet in the way that it happened in reality, because I guess some whales discovered like a very tiny little what's the word? I can't think of it, but they would find this little discrepancy in the wording of the bet with what actually happened, and they wouldn't approve the result. So there's been some sketchiness on poly market, quite frankly, that I don't really like to see over the last few weeks. I've been kind of hearing it or reading about that rather a little bit. It's not something that we've talked about, and I know that we don't really trade on poly market, but I think if you are placing bets on poly market, it's worth knowing. They did the same thing for the government shutdown, for example.
Yeah, I mean, at least with the recession bet, it would have to be the the Department of Labor, right, would have to declare recession, and they always do it afterwards.
The rules for the bet are that this market will resolve to yes if the National Bureau of Economic Research publicly announces that a recession has occurred in the United States.
Yeah, see, that would be hard to have happen by that date. You know what I mean? Like, even if there was a recession by then, they wouldn't declare it till probably like a year later, honestly.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes. So, yeah. Wait, is Bitcoin pumping a little bit?
But it seems like Liverpool is winning the Premier League.
That's probably, how many points are they up right now? Like 8 or 9 at least. They got a good
6.
team.
They're up 6, but they have a game in advantage, but still 19 games left to go.
Yes, a lot can go wrong for Liverpool. I don't know if you saw the whole thing with Mo Salah, Jack. There's like this thing where every time he posts Merry Christmas, his luck for the second half of the season is terrible. There was like a whole like somebody did a bunch of research on it, but of course Mo Salah said Merry Christmas this season. So We'll see if
Oh,
the
no.
curse continues to live on. I always say, though, and this is the last thing I'll say on the subject, but usually what I've noticed is that you don't want to peak too early in the season. It's pretty rare that a team will just be flying as high as Liverpool has been for an entire season of games. There's usually like a duality within the season. Maybe that's just because of the team that I root for, but I feel like I've kind of noticed that over the years.
Yeah.
Dang, these VWAPs are going to be useless for like a month, huh? New VWAPs on the calendar rollover.
Makes me sad, man. I don't have that alpha anymore.
I know. I mean, I guess we can use the previous whatever, but I don't really like to do that, honestly.
It's not as pretty.
No, it's not. It's not. Bitcoin looks pretty solid, though, I will say. I've kind of found if it's pumping while we're on here, it can be a decently sticky move. But if it's pumping like in the morning or during the morning Discord call, usually it gets reversed on market check, unfortunately. But yeah,
Seems like Patriots are back in control then. New year, new Patriots.
Yeah.
No more Jeets.
What are stocks doing today? The S&P's just been doing nothing for weeks.
I know. Let's see.
To be honest, that BTC move, or I would say the rejection prior to today's moves, gives me enough confidence that the sellers have been exhausted and we should be moving higher.
On SPOOs?
No, BTC.
Oh. Yeah, Bitcoin really painted, like, I hate the way it paints structures now, but it is kind of becoming like TradFi in that regard. Like, that just is so unbearably awful if you had to trade the chop.
I know.
Oh, God.
I don't know if I find this, especially this one, very, very clean for BTC. Like the levels it's respecting and the way it moves.
For mid and high time frame, I agree.
Yeah.
For lower time frame, I think if you're like a scalper, that alpha is gone.
Gone.
Oh yeah, absolutely on that.
I think ETH looks pretty solid here, guys. I think it's doing the same thing it did back here on a lower time frame.
Yes.
Like that.
The range of pain.
See that right there?
We had 2 years of ranging pretty much. I cannot wait for a year of just trending upward.
Yeah, I think it's going to be ETH. ETH time to trend here soon. Once you pop 4K too, you're not coming back. This will be our 4th tap. It's going to be lovely.
Guys, and I swear that they think that Trump's inauguration is sell the news. I swear they think so.
I think they think so too, Jackson. I think they're wrong.
BTC ETF will be sell the news event.
I think the dollar is going to top around the inauguration.
Why? For fundamental reasons?
Well, one, it happened around that time in 2016, but I think fundamental and technical reasons, right? We're trading, kind of like filling the last FEG that exists to the top side on the dollar. This would be kind of the last region I would be expecting a rejection, maybe a little bit higher first, but more or less this area. And then contextually, like I've been saying, I think that, everybody's kind of expecting Trump to take office and we're going to stop spending money. At least that's kind of been the prevailing narrative, when in reality, it's a populist president with a full mandate from the public. So he probably will be spending lots of money in 2025, which will be bearish for the dollar. And I think as well, you're going to see more rate cuts in 2025 too.
Yeah, no, we're definitely going to see more rate cuts, and it's odd that it's just skyrocketed while we've been cutting, and at TLT, and we've talked about these dynamics before, and that this chart just cannot catch a bid. This is really what we've been talking about too, though, that we need this chart to roll over in a big way. I think you're right with the inauguration, though. I think the inauguration is gonna be bearish for yields and the dollar, and probably bullish for US debt. So
Currently, there is a 88.8% probability for no cut in January and March, and for an entire year, there's only a probability of one cut. If that changes as we go, that's going to send markets.
No, that is true. I think it's just because of this. People are worried about this coming back. Our inflation expectations.
That's inevitable, in my opinion. But
yeah, but I want us to be able to cut before this thing actually really comes back. Because if we can't cut before this comes back, which we should be able to, right? Like theoretically, we should be able to, but Trump is going to spend a bunch of money, which is fine for our assets, but it will cause this chart to go up. It will cause inflation to go up for sure. So
yeah, but inflation goes up after a year, and that's a thing. Like, it's a year-on-year change, which means that the moment he starts printing, it will not be shown in the numbers until a year after.
yeah, that's true.
That's lots of time.
It used to be 2 years. You remember that? It was 2 years, like 3 or 4 years ago. It was a 2-year look back, and now it's only 1. So
it's stupid regardless, but
they just change it whenever they want to. Yeah.
Do you remember how they changed the definition of a recession?
Yeah. Yeah. And they'll like change the basket of goods that they look at for the inflation rate and everything. It's a joke. It's a complete joke.
They used to have beef in it, in the inflation basket, and then because beef was going up so much in price, they switched it to just chicken, and they said that it's because people nowadays eat more chicken than they eat beef, so beef is not important to be in the basket.
well, I can tell them I'm not eating more chicken than beef these days.
Yeah. No, I'm not either. That is not real.
Tucker, the other day I was thinking about how you bought that, like the whole, what was it, the whole half a cow or something like that?
It was a quarter.
You still have that?
Yeah.
You still have that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it lasts a good like 6 months for sure. Easy. Yeah. No, Tommy, it's the way to go. It comes out to like $3 or $4 a pound, and it's unbelievable.
I just don't think I have storage for all that. I'm not gonna give people the chance to make a joke. I don't have storage for all that.
You got to get yourself a deep freezer, Tommy. That's what you need.
I don't have room for a deep freezer. Maybe in my next apartment or my next house, something like that.
Yeah. Jackus, though, you need to get on that.
Wait, what?
Get yourself a quarter of a cow, brother.
Oh man, I love to. We always grill on summer days. We have beef. We have a little pig. That's awesome too. So yeah, beer, music. This is how you do it.
This is true. Guys, do you think they're going to smash the VIX or no?
They're
Is
gonna
it
try.
over?
The
They need to.
skew rises into mid-year, so I don't think we're going to be seeing the VIX price as low as we did last year, but it can be bullish for markets because, when we talk about the VIX going high or just kind of like naturally gravitating higher, that can be bullish assets as well. Right now, calls for, the Mag 7 really are pretty underpriced if you compare them to 2020 and 2021 levels. So we haven't really come close to euphoria in that regard. But yeah, I mean, if you see the VIX rise, eventually you're going to see those call side volatility or like those vols get priced higher, which will be bullish for the market.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just going to be a more volatile year in 2025.
Hold up. We should. I totally missed
I'm up
this.
for it.
Do you guys think we're going to slice through on Bitcoin Sol ETH Boys Club, or do you think he said, what'd you say? Do you think we pull back a little bit short term or slice through?
Well, he says we are at a resistance, but I'm not like seeing much of a resistance right now.
Sol, I could see. Yeah, ETH, I could see too a little bit. I think Bitcoin's got an easier path higher. I think Bitcoin can slice through pretty easily. It might take a week or so more for ETH and Sol to go, but I think after they do, they outperform in a big way. Let's look at like. Yeah, I think Sol BTC flipped this level. And its lights on, huh? Honestly.
I'm not a fan of this chart.
I know.
Not a fan.
I mean, what did ETH BTC do after it pulled that move though, right? I'm pretty sure it went back up pretty nicely. If we're saying, Sol did this, boom, it rocketed back up. So, for how long? From June to September, for a couple months, it went back up a lot.
That was the merge trade, I believe.
September, where's ETH BTC? Yeah, the merge was right here. Yeah.
Merge. Merge.
Yeah, so if Sol BTC is going to follow what ETH BTC did, which is what we were kind of speculating the other day, it should do that at least to
Yeah, but
a year.
ETH BTC swept all those lows first.
Yeah, you're right. It did not. This would be like here. But it didn't really put a bounce in that Sol is doing. It just went straight down.
Exactly.
This guy said, what's next for Bitcoin today? 1 week, 1 month.
Wait, what?
What's next for Bitcoin today, 1 week, and 1 month from now? Like, what do we look like?
What's next today? Well, price can go up and down.
He's asking for an entry, stop loss, liquidation level, target.
Yeah, literally.
I just think, I don't know. I'm kind of just given my bias on Bitcoin dominance. I'm not really as focused on Bitcoin at the moment. I'm kind of using it as a barometer, more or less, waiting for a break of like 101 or 102K, kind of those recent, like we've been in a range within a range when you look at Bitcoin structurally, right? We've been in a range within the range for probably like 2 weeks now. So I think when you get that market structure break, Bitcoin will probably be ready to trend again. It's just things like Sol, ETH, and maybe BNB as well are just going to outperform it, at least in the near term, right? We can always feel out going forward what the structure of Bitcoin is going to look like on a higher time frame, but at the most basic level, that's kind of how I'm treating it.
Yeah. Yep. Bitcoin back 100. Alts are back in play. Alts are flying again, but
truth be told, me looking at the BNB East chart, I'm thinking that it goes slower. I think that
that's the others chart, Jackus. Don't say that.
Yeah, it is.
It is the others chart.
BNB ETH. Hang on, let's do that though. It is the others chart. Except it's kind of, I don't know, like this top here was the bottom on others. Same here. So I guess we want BNB ETH to go lower. Kind of. I don't know what we want here. You see what I'm saying though?
I think both will go up and they will just fluctuate in this range, sort of. I could see ETH go first. I could see it's tough to say. Like based on this chart, I would say ETH go first. But when I look at the USD chart, it could be really both at the same time. And then it would depend like which one goes quicker, right, than the other at the time. So like they could both break out at the same time, but one goes more vertical than the other, and then the other catches up a few weeks later, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you probably just get BNB ETH going sideways for a little bit if they're both going to pump.
I've had 4 normie friends tell me to buy XRP. Is it topped? No, bro. That's just getting started. That's the most left curve trade.
Should we look at XRP?
No, people don't like that.
Let's see here. Our equity's still doing okay. I like that MSTR bounce right there. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. What
yeah. With BTC going up, it would be crime if MSTR didn't. Like at that point, that something would be bad.
Well, we've talked about when we get that divergence between Bitcoin and MicroStrategy from a cyclical standpoint, it's typically when alts begin to pump, but MicroStrategy tends to top before Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Obviously, no cycle has been like this one, though, where MSTR has been the bidder of last resort, the bidder at any time, really, the top blaster. You can come up with a lot of adjectives for their investment strategies.
Look, we didn't even talk about XRP. We just mentioned it, and look at the cope in the chat already. It's like, oh, bro.
When XLM.
What do you guys think about Pepe here, though? I feel like we must. Because Pepe had a super clean 1618 retest, which was just beautiful. But to me, it looks a little bit like this wick back here. I mean, you had this one too, clearly, but where you just did this for a little bit, a little chop sideways. But I think it kind of looks more like this, honestly. And that would give you, you know, maybe one of these. What do you think?
Well, I think the sell off.
Pepe.
Huh?
Sorry, Jackus, you go ahead.
The freaking lag. I was saying that I think the recent drop was as scary as the one in August or April, and with that was like a bull market capitulation.
Mm-hmm.
And now it should be holding here. For if it were not hold the low, I think that would mean that it's kind of over this cycle, but that goes as well with ease. So I think both need to be holding those levels, and I think they will. And given that we had such a sharp sell-off into it, which caused lots of fear, it makes sense. Not to mention that many people probably sold and now are in their mind, they are underwater, like, or they are not in profit, like they sold and now price is higher, and that doesn't feel good.
It's been the meme coin MO basically the entire cycle. Just paint this incredibly highly volatile price action, just swap it back to the high. At least I think about something like MOG. That's what they've been doing for ages.
Flog update requested from Tim O. Yes, brother, we can do this. Something I saw the other day was, I think it was this from about here. Yeah, this. This was just a perfect little point of control retest, which was awesome to see. But I mean, we talked about this before, right? This thing ran up like 10x in a month and a half. You know, it was after it broke its parabola, it was bound to correct. I thought it would probably stop in here, somewhere in the 3s to 3.5s. It did not. But I think, you know, probably continues basing for a while. The Solana strength should be good for it, obviously. Should be good for all Sol memes, but probably just needs to base out here. And then when it does end up putting in a second leg, right, I think it probably goes maybe slightly above 2x, maybe 2x its previous all-time high, so maybe like 1.5 on Flog. But yeah, that was a nasty move down. That was a nasty move down. I will say that. This 1618's at 1.1.
This comment from John, this couldn't be far from the truth. The normies, they never win, that's true, but they do not win because they never sell and they run through their games. So you actually want to be in what normies are buying, but then you want to sell because normies will believe that it's the most revolutionary tech ever and that it's going to keep going up forever, and then they will not sell and run through it. But they will pump the price big time. And that's what lots of people forget. Whereas lots of crypto natives are actually mid-curve and they are trying to like outsmart everything and be like, oh, my eco bubble is bullish or bearish this. That means I'm bullish because he's bearish, because he's bullish, because he's bearish, right? And they end up missing these because like, oh, normies are bullish XRP and normies never win. That means XRP doesn't pump.
Somebody asked for Caspa Pepe.
Do you guys know how you prevent underperformance of normies?
Huh.
It does.
I tend to know exactly how you can underperform the normies, guys, and that is through some of our premium products that we have for you guys. First of which being your go-to tool for the cycle, guys. By the way, while I'm speaking, I will stop speaking when we get the like button up. I haven't checked it, but I can already tell you that you guys have not been smashing the like button to start 2025. But you're going to have to listen to me talk for a few minutes about some of your go-to tools for this cycle, right? Your first of which being the BB terminal, guys. That is, as I just said, your go-to tool for the cycle, whether or not you are an active lower time frame trader looking to trade derivatives, looking to trade off of open interest data, scalping, etc. We have the tool for you. Whether or not you are a long-term investor looking to make more educated, data-driven decisions, we have the tool for you. And soon, whether you are an on-chain degen who loves trading meme coins, who loves trading anything on-chain, we will soon have the tool for you as well. So make sure to take advantage of the BB terminal at these prices before the crypto market goes higher, because as we always say, the prices of our products will go higher as the price of the market does. We were nice enough to package that together with our premium Discord, guys. That's 4 to 5 hours of live calls every single day, access to our intimate market thoughts. And of course, we have a kick-ass community for you as well to participate in. So make sure to check these out, even grab them at a discounted rate if that floats your boat, but I guarantee you will not regret the decision to do so. Of course, we also have the BB Academy, guys. So whether or not you are looking to hone your educational base or reach trading level mastery, we've got the tool for you as well. So make sure to take advantage of the BB Academy, guys. All of these products are linked in the description below, as well as our SEC registered hedge fund, guys, which is BB Wealth Management. Maybe, picking winners in this market has been difficult. Maybe stomaching that downside volatility has been a little bit difficult. Obviously, crypto is a very volatile and difficult industry to play at times. So if having the team manage some or all of your capital interests you, like I said, we do have an SEC registered hedge fund and more information linked in the description below. But all right, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Please tell me you guys hit the like button.
I'm gonna check.
Tommy.
What?
Jack is checking.
No, they did not. It's a soybean time, guys.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now
All
they're
right.
panicking, but
Craig, I'm going to need you
anyway.
to stop posting that little tidbit about Solana ETFs and Polymarket, brother. You posted it like 5 or 6 times. I don't want to have to boot you for spam.
Is that right, though? Is it at 70, whatever, 78?
78%, yeah.
78%, man. Well, here's lean hog futures for you, Tommy.
What's the ETF approval rate on this one?
I'm sure this has an ETF already, or is a part of one. Yeah. All right, what are we at, Jackets? What are we at?
I don't know. I closed it. It was too low.
Yeah, okay. All right, we're going back. I can't look at lean hogs anymore.
We are at 259. So still more to do. I think we should hit this up to 300.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's very much doable.
It's very doable.
We had 500 watching, so Mog coin. What do you guys think of Mog here?
It just is so, I don't know. It's hard to trade. It's just a meat grinder.
I feel like it's got to go from here, or
Yeah.
I'm really not interested in touching it.
Tommy, maybe you want to address this comment?
The difference between a silver and a gold, I mean, really the biggest difference is that, you get access to our TA channels, obviously, which includes our positions, our thoughts on the market as they happen. You get the morning and afternoon calls, which is really, I think, probably the biggest value add. Everybody wants signal. Everybody wants like, oh, entry, stop loss, take profit, whatever. But being able to just kind of listen to the team speak for 4 or 5 hours to you guys every single day there's nothing like that anywhere else on the market that you can get. So, if you like us, you want to hear more of how we speak, obviously the assets that we're trading, we cover those very much in depth every single day on our afternoon calls, which is the biggest difference, I think, between the gold and the silver. And of course, you get access to some other channels as well, which I will say, I mean, we have an AI channel now in our Discord, and those guys have been absolutely crushing the AI agent meta. So make sure to check that out.
Yeah, thank you. Whoever just did that.
I did that. I had to ban them. That was pretty bad.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you. Oh, all right. Let's see. Let me check back in on Bitcoin real quick, guys. Let me check in. Kind of grinding still. Nothing definitive. Would love to see it flip 97 short term, but I guess, do we have any moons coming up, Tommy?
You got the Wolf Moon mid-January. That could be interesting.
The Wolf Moon. These have been backwards a little bit. That was like a top. That last moon.
Somebody in my Discord told me that the moon on the 13th or the astrology on the 13th was not very good, but I haven't really looked that deep into it myself.
Was not good?
It was not good on the 13th.
Not good. Okay.
I mean, I haven't really verified that for myself, though, like I said.
Yeah, I just want to see it put in a higher high here. That's all.
I really feel
That's
like
all
when
we
you're
need.
breaking above 100K, 101K again, you should be legging up again.
Mm-hmm.
The moon is fake.
Where does the next leg up on Bitcoin take us? I'm thinking like, let's see. Yeah, 120 maybe.
Let's see.
Thinking 120.
Kind of feel like 130-ish.
I was gonna say that's not 120 is not a huge move, but
We'll see what it looks like.
What are your targets, guys, for this year for BTC?
for like the end of the year.
I don't think I can answer the question, honestly.
Wild guess. Wild guess.
Oh man. 250.
250.
Mark said 2.5 million.
God.
250. Tommy.
Let's go.
I don't think I can answer, man. I really don't.
Yeah. Yes, you can, Tommy. Yes, you can.
No.
You can. It's a wild guess. Nobody's going to hold you accountable, except us, of course.
I don't know. I think it just depends on what January looks like, right? Because if it's like, I mean, I think if we have no correction in January, right? Like that with the corrections already been completed.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like 150 to 200 will be my prediction for the year. It'll be kind of like underwhelming for Bitcoin. But if we get a bigger correction in January, I'd probably be a lot more bullish into the end of the year, but we'll see. Like I said, we'll see. Ask me after January, Jackus.
Okay. We can do this every single month.
Yes. We're here every day.
Updated price targets. Well, I think the next leads us to 145. That would be my approximate guess. The weekly though, the weekly, when we break out, that kind of makes sense to me. But I think we can, I think we could range for some time here still. I think, first of all, it's healthy for the longevity of this bull market. because the price needs to wait, for EMAs to catch up. Not that it like matters, but like generally speaking, the price after a move needs to take a pause, needs to chill for some time. And that's what it's doing. It's very healthy. And then when it's done, it's ready to go for another leg higher. And this ensures that it can keep on going. Because I think that, for example, if in March we went straight up here to where we are right now, that might have been the top. The fact that it got postponed ensures the longevity of the bull run.
You don't think we're going to do one of these again, though?
No, I do not think it's going to be that long. That would not make sense. I think I think at max it's going to take like half of January.
Yeah, I think the second half of January is going to be good, and I think it's more so just setting up the rest of the quarter.
Pretty much, and that sets up the year.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it goes, right? If you have a good Q1, you're going to have a green year, and you're going to have a good Q4 usually.
We could look at this. So, like, what happens if you have a bullish Q1? What happens for the rest of the year?
Somewhere I already know Will's outlook is screaming at us because he's talked about this very thing.
Yeah. We look at the quarterly chart. I mean, it applies to equities too, but okay. Here's Q1 there. Here's Q1 there.
Altcoins typically deliver some very decisive volatility in Q1. So
Q1.
I think like STX is a great example of this. If you look back on STX price action, a VC altcoin. So it's going to be one of those coins that's most correlated to kind of like institutional flows. I'm sure you could find some better ones, but that's kind of the one that I've been back testing a little bit. Like Q1 for STX, 3 out of the last 4 Q1s, biggest markup of the year occurred during Q1. And the other one, the biggest markdown of the year occurred the other one. So altcoins are going to trend this quarter very, very hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Q1s.
Yeah, I just don't see how they don't. Like, E's breaking 4K, and you have the most bullish regulatory clarity in history coming in together. I just don't see. Plus, they haven't really went in any regard so far. Like, there have been few outliers, but in general, alts have not outperformed. Many are back to their, August lows.
Yeah. Especially these on-chain coins that have just been suffering constant drain.
I mean, you should at least get like a quarter. Like, okay, so this was the quarter until the May top, right? This was when Luna happened, but you had a huge green Q1. Here you had 3 quarters after it, and here you had, again, 3 quarters after it. So if we're going to say 2020 cycle was somewhat of an outlier due to COVID and money printing, then you should be set up more so like the previous 2. But
it's going to be a very interesting year. I imagine that you're going to see something that, whether it's just whether it's just kind of the natural product of a populist administration, whether it's because of some sort of event that causes it, I think you're going to see some sort of major stimulus in 2025. I mean, it aligns way too perfectly with kind of our view on inflation. It's really difficult for me to see them choosing to let deflation rule the roost rather than inflation. A prolonged period of inflation is much better than, sustained deflation, as we've learned throughout history. But obviously, one is healthier for the dollar. The other one is, well, really none of them are healthy for the dollar, but I think it's probably like choosing a lesser of two evils.
Ooh, our guy 100x said, "What's the bear case?" It's always fun to entertain.
Bear case, you're seeing bearish retests on ETH and SOL right now. That's the bear case.
Bear case, that was your Bitcoin top right there. Okay. Bear case, I'm pretty sure on linear, Bitcoin hit its 1618. Yeah, it did right there. So there's your bear case. And what about fundamentally? The dollar just chads. Nobody buys our debt.
Let's not talk about that.
Something happens before inauguration or something. I don't know, but
I really don't think there's going to be any. I just don't think that there should be any downside in Q1 at all. If you make it to after the inauguration, there's no reason there should be any downside for the entirety of Q1 and maybe even at least the first half of Q2.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. Because we're about to see the dollar. I really think we're about to see the dollar top after 110, 111, kind of within that vicinity, just as we saw in 2016.
Yeah. In 2016, yeah.
Or 2017 to be, historically accurate.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest bear case right now, that you will not see DXY top, and you will see the problem within within your government debt that nobody wants to buy. That would be a serious issue.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that. I think there is lots of credit problems. I think there is lots of bad loans that have been made, but they are not imminent right now. I think they will be a problem in next year or something.
Well, I mean, here's what I always say about something like that occurring is if it does, it's honestly more bullish because they end up printing more money. That's the only way that they can clean, because they're never going to, we're never going to, I can't think of the phrase, but we're never going to actually face those consequences until we absolutely have to. They're just going to keep kicking the can down the road. So when you get these Silvergate crises, what ends up happening is we created a Fed Now plan. We flooded the market with short-term treasuries, and it's going to be a big problem at some point, probably in this administration, and they're probably going to try to answer it by printing more money. So that's just kind of how I view it. Because at the end of the day, trying to inflate away your problems is much better than deflation.
That's true. Plus, it's sort of gradual if you are able to do it gradually. Like when people, I think since COVID, we are still seeing this gradual shift of people worldwide understanding that fiat currencies are getting debased, and they are willingly and unwillingly being turned into investors, into, I would say, rather speculative degens in many cases. And we see this shift, and that's a good thing that it's done gradually. It's not a good thing that it's happening, but when it's happening, it's better that it's being done gradually. So you would not want to see BTC to go from the current prices to 1 million in a single day. Like me as a holder, sure, but you want to see assets to appreciate while fiat currencies depreciate over time, so that people have time to make the transition. And obviously some will be laggards, right? Like some will miss this train. They will not make the returns that we are making because we are seeing things early. But and that's fair. That's how it should be. But yeah, it's good that it's happening gradually, because otherwise the society would would end up in some, war or something like within itself. So I agree with you, Tommy.
Yeah. There's everything is cyclical, and that's especially true when you look at like 100-year cycles, how that tends to work. So we will see what happens. I'm very interested to see how the next decade or so plays out, and really how politicians and administrations handle these growing problems. Hopefully, Chud Jack wins out, and nothing ever happens. But
All in, Tommy. All in. Yeah.
What's interesting is that 1929 was the Great Depression, and like we do not have it.
Almost.
We do not have it yet, but like there are lots of problems around. The most there have been in a long, long while.
Well, the Great Depression is exactly why you don't want deflation. Like you'd much rather have inflation, because deflation, you just get a prolonged period of the market just being like it hit saturation that wasn't, we didn't return to the all-time highs, obviously, for like probably 20 years. They had to let banks fail, et cetera, but they would never willingly let banks fail in the same way that happened in the late 1920s. So I do think the period's fundamentally different to that regard, but it's always important to pay attention to these case studies.
It is indeed. All right, you guys want to look at anything else?
Yeah.
No, I gotta wrap things up here myself, but if that's okay with you guys.
Wrap it up, baby.
All right, guys. Just really, really briefly, you're gonna have to hear me yap about something that we've already kind of discussed a little bit, right? That is a few of our premium products. I'm just going to go over them really briefly because I already went over them earlier in the show, guys. But you can get your go-to tool as well as your go-to Discord at and go-to Alpha as a byproduct of that for discounted rates, guys. But as the market goes higher, so will the price of our products. So make sure to take advantage. Everything that you see on the screen is provided within these services. Of course, as somebody was asking us earlier in the show, there are differences between the silver and the gold membership. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of them, but the best, absolutely take advantage of the gold tier, guys, because we provide a ton of alpha for those subscribers. So check that out, of course, as well as the BB Academy, as well as BB Wealth Management, like we discussed earlier in the show, guys. If you're looking to hone your educational base, reach trading level mastery, or if you're looking for the team to potentially manage capital for you, those are the products to check out. But that is it from us, guys. We hope that you enjoyed the show. As always, we will be back for another episode tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think Tucker and I will be traveling around that time, TBD, but rest assured we will have analysts for you guys to view on Market Check as well. But yeah, if you enjoyed Market Check, that is our typical start time, by the way, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure to tune in for Market Talk with King Wabi. Make sure to follow his X account as well as Because Bitcoin X account, so you can be notified not just when we start those spaces, but also when we schedule them in advance. Have a great day, guys. We hope that you enjoyed the first Market Check of the new year. We have a lot more coming your way in 2025, and very much looking forward to it. But until then, guys, thank you as always. And of course, stay safe.